writer Bill Graham is with us tonight from Los Angeles. There's no counting how many rock concerts he's produced and promoted through the years with groups like the Stones and Jefferson Airplane and the Grateful Dead, and with Dylan and Neil Young and Jimi Hendrix and Otis Redding, and the list goes on and on. Let's start, though, with something that's presently on people's minds, and that's the Doors movie. You're not too pleased with the way that came out, are you?
No, I'm sorry to say.
Is it untruthful to Jim Morrison's life, to the truth of the Doors, or it's only a partial truth? What's the problem with it?
That's hard to talk about because I've tried to keep that side private. I think the wrong decision was made. And my hope from the beginning had been to use the Doors as a catalyst and tell their story and tell Jim's story, but more than that, really give the public an idea to some degree of what that era was all about. Not getting that is the biggest creative mistake of my life.
You get a producer's credit on the film, true?
Right.
But you wish you could erase it entirely?
No, I'd rather just apologize to some people that I gave my word to, that certain things wouldn't be done the way they were done. I'm just sorry that I was weak at the time. The only depressed time I've ever experienced in my life was in that time period for some other reason, but it affected my my energy level and my thought capacities to some extent, and I wasn't as strong-minded and strong-willed as I usually am about any project of that scope, and it meant a great deal to me. I made a mistake, and I let it go the wrong way, and what we didn't get was the joy and the hope of those times, and today's youth, through that picture, will not get what I hoped they would get through that picture.
Why was the project entrusted to you from the beginning?
There was a lot of confusion in Hollywood with who had the rights and how to get the rights and who was connected to the rights. And it got down to the certain family members on both sides of the two individuals, Pam and Jim. And Jim had said, members of the Doors had said things about the way we did business with them in those days, so that the attorneys many years ago, 5, 6 years ago, called me, said, would I intercede in speaking to both sides?
And they trusted you?
And I did, correct.
And that was transmitted to their heirs?
Correct. And as a result of that, we were able to put the project into motion. By that time, there were other directors that I had approached that I thought were right for this project. Timing was off. And then someone of Oliver's great stature came along, and I weakened.
The problem here isn't that there isn't a lot of truth in Stone's depiction, but only that it's one slice of the truth and not the whole thing. Is that right?
There's too much excess of all the negative aspects of those lives. But where is the hope and the light? If there was anything that was there, prominent every day, 66, 67, 68, for the first time, to the best of my recollection, this massive civilization truly believed that they were involved with attempting positive change, to be involved with affecting that, and that they could, that there was sincere hope. Where was it?
What about Jim Morrison as a person was missing?
I didn't really get to know the inner machinations of the guy. What I do know is that he talked a lot about the war. He talked about the difficulties of, as he put it, being an involuntary leader, and realizing that no matter what he did, later on when he became a success, he talked more about how difficult it is that you seek fame and then it just blares at you all the time. You can't get away from it, you can't hide from it. And the pressure that was on him, and Frankenstein took over. You know, he built this image on stage, and his was very, very different than anyone else of that time, except to some extent Jimi Hendrix. But it got to a point where Jim had to deal with the reality that every man out there envied him and every woman wanted him. No question.
Was his sexual magnetism as great on stage as anyone you've ever seen, including Elvis, including anybody?
Or far greater in the sense of reeking of sensuality as it relates to that fan out there. And you would look at the fan and you look at that relationship. But Morrison was something special in the sense of the way he moved in a very sensual, serpentine way. The first woman that I fell in love with on the screen I've been in love with all my life. It was Ava Gardner. She moved from one side of the room to the other like no other woman I'd ever seen. Rita Hayworth came close, but Jim Morrison was my Ava Gardner in that sense. And that's the part of him that added to the writing talent and the singing talent is what really made him.
All right, baby, love me. Yeah. I'm a Sunday trucker Christian, motherfucker, yeah. Sunday trucker Christian, motherfucker, yeah. Just a three-eyed boy looking for a 12-year-old girl. Build me a woman, make her 10 feet tall. Build me a woman, make her 10 feet tall. Don't make her ugly, don't make her small, just
mother's or your father's child. You're our child, screaming wild. An ancient lunatic reigns in the trees of the night. With hunger at her heels, freedom in her eyes, she dances on her knees, a pirate prince at her side. Staring into the hollow idol's eyes. Wild child, full of grace, savior of the human race. Your cool face, your cool face, your cool face. Remember when we were in Africa?
Must cost a fortune to keep it up. I bet they need 2 servants at least to take care of it. The more I know of love, the less I know.
Here's your drink, lady.
The more I give to
He
love,
said, here's your drink, lady.
the more I owe. Thank you very much. A heartbreak or two. The more I know of love,